Welcome to today's session. I'm Jackie Mattia. As Rich said, I'm Movable Inc.'s Senior Director of Strategy, and I head our travel, hospitality, and financial services strategy practices. We've got just a short time together today, so we'll focus on two key topics. First up, the fierce battle for customer loyalty that's heating up across today's industry, and delivering meaningful impact in your sustainability and ESG marketing. Across nearly every travel subvertical, customer loyalty is very much up for grabs. The percentage of consumers who say that they've shopped a different brand or site recently has increased consistently year over year since 2020, and about 90% of consumers say that they plan on continuing to shop around in the next year. In the accommodation sector, travelers have more options than ever before, from traditional hotels to home shares, to glamping options, to properties that fall into a totally new digital nomad category. The lines between these categories continue to blur more and more, and these category options compete side by side in online searches and OTAs, really vying for customers' wallets. In the aviation world, high fares, delays, and fewer flight options, as well as cancellations, have also made airline customer loyalty particularly susceptible to competition. Only about 44% of airline travelers fly the majority of their air miles on what they've self-identified as their preferred airline. In the online travel industry, Peter Kern, who's Expedia's CEO, recently remarked on the needed shift to customer retention in the industry and the revamping of Expedia's own loyalty program by saying the industry has historically been built on a lot of throughput, customers simply going through the machine, and at Expedia we didn't have a funnel, we actually had a sieve, and we're much more now focused on customer retention. The challenge that brands face is that while competition for customer loyalty is really heating up, loyalty programs do remain important, but a lot of travelers say that they don't find value in them, or at least in the way that they're constructed or marketed today. When they were asked in a McKinsey survey to rate how strongly they agree or disagree with a set of statements about hotel loyalty programs, a huge portion of respondents most agreed with all these negative red statements that you see over on the right. They said that they were open to trying different brands, regardless of their existing loyalty program participation. They don't travel enough to stick to one program. Loyalty programs don't yield benefits for them, or they're just too complicated to understand. And this sentiment really extends well beyond the hotel industry. Only about 34% of customers believe that their preferred airline has the best loyalty program in the industry, and lesser, only 33% say they would not switch to a competing loyalty program. The good news is that we have some really meaningful data that tells us what customers do want from their loyalty program, and we can adapt our marketing and loyalty programs to really highlight these areas and drive more value and engagement from customers. So consumer feedback tells us that to drive more value from loyalty programs, hotels in particular should focus on giving customers the ability to use points for redemption of free nights, discounts for loyalty members exclusively, and they should also have a diverse geographic footprint. So many different hotels, many different price points in a lot of different destinations. For airline loyalty programs, the biggest improvement areas, and these are prioritized based on customer satisfaction as well as customers' level of reported importance, are things like ease of redeeming and earning points, more opportunities to earn and burn, and redemption and conversion value. So depending on the state of your company's loyalty program, there might be some larger fundamental changes that need to happen to really align your program to these things that sit outside the marketing team. But in this next section, I wanted to show you some of the ways that marketing can be used to really highlight and reinforce these attributes that customers say that they're looking for in their travel loyalty program. Firstly, put it in email. Deloitte did a consumer survey of airline loyalty members, and respondents overwhelmingly rated email as their top preferred mode of engagement for loyalty comms. So any of that great loyalty content that maybe you developed for your app or the logged in state of your site, it's really key that you're also surfacing that in email. Second up, take the guesswork out of your points and reward structures by communicating transparently on all of these areas that the data shows us matters most to customers. So point redemption for free travel, ability to use points, earning and burning, and really breaking down that redemption value. So to bring that to life, I wanted to highlight a couple of clients in the industry that use Movable Link to transform their loyalty emails to help customers take the guesswork out of the value of their loyalty program. This is the point of departure for Orbitz. If some of you don't know Orbitz, it's an online travel aggregator akin to TripAdvisor, Expedia. And as you can see, this really doesn't illustrate any of those value drivers that customers want. And it also drove customers to need to log in to view a lengthy loyalty statement. Orbitz partnered with Movable Link to transform that e-statement into what you see here. So they start out by informing customers of the rewards that are available to them for use. They remind them of a nearing expiration date. They reinforce the value of their reward conversion, reminding customers of their lifetime earnings and that 1 Orbucks equals $1 off hotels. They also use data visualization to clarify their loyalty tiering structure, clearly outlining what's required of the customer to reach the next tier and what benefits come along with that next tier. They also provide the customer with a reminder of how they can earn more rewards in-app, get access to prices exclusively available to loyalty members, and they offer the customer an additional method of earning rewards through a referral program. Obviously, that email is echelons away from where Orbitz started, and the results really show that highlighting those value drivers that customers want within email can have a huge impact. As compared to that previous campaign, they saw a 300% lift in conversion rate, a 50% increase in average number of transactions, and a 35% decrease in unsubscriptions. This next transformation comes from leading hotels of the world. This was a monthly email that was sent to customers to reinforce the benefits of their Leaders Club loyalty program. As you can see, it was a pretty straightforward email, and it talked widely about the program. But they really wanted to use personalization to show customers more value of the program and retain their membership. They took a phased approach, first by adding in a stay credit module, which showed customers how many nights they needed to earn a free night and how far away they were from redeeming it. They then further iterated to show customers a full loyalty dashboard in emails showing them the value of their dollars of spend, available points, and room upgrades based on their tier status. This was also translated into 6 different languages across regions. So they're really highlighting all of those attributes that we mentioned earlier customers are looking for in a loyalty program. The results were equally amazing. They saw about an 18% lift in click-through rate, 129% increase in revenue, and 158% increase in renewals. So really impressive results. Pivoting a bit into our second theme of today, which is all about delivering meaningful sustainability and ESG initiatives through your travel marketing. Consumer demand for sustainable travel options is growing more rapidly than ever before, and it's also really predicted to compound as Gen Z travels more. About 90% of consumers globally say that they look for sustainable options when they're traveling, and 3 in 5 consumers have already opted for more environmentally friendly options in their travels. This sentiment is most strong with younger travelers, 18 to 34, and they overwhelmingly say that they would pay extra per night for accommodations that focus on being eco-friendly. And this is a really important trend to take note of because about half of this younger segment is going to be traveling more in the next 3 years versus only about 35% of older adults. So this really eco-minded group are going to become the primary travelers of the next 3 years. But there are still some growing pains, with many consumers saying that they feel overwhelmed by starting the process of becoming a more sustainable traveler, and they're really looking to brands that they trust to make sustainable travel more accessible. They're also craving information on sustainable travel from every type of travel provider. So they want to see recommendations from local tourism groups to hotel providers, transportation, airline companies, as well as third-party booking sites. Globally, the information that travelers are most interested in seeing from brands about sustainable travel are 1, recommendations for local businesses, lower impact transportation and hotel options, tips for engaging with local communities, and destination recommendations, both for destinations that support indigenous cultures and destinations that are not overvisited. And it's really important to travelers that this goes beyond platitudes. So they want brands to actually present them with options and guidance, not just say a banner stating that the brand is committed to sustainability. So with that, I want to leave you with some actionable ways that marketers can deliver on these things. So one of the ways that brands can support this is first by filtering and prioritizing more sustainable options within your marketing communications and digital channels. If any of you have seen, or maybe you've used this, Google launched new search criteria within its travel products where customers can filter for low emission flights as well as sustainable hotel options. I was recently at Skift's forum in New York, big travel forum, and Peter Kern, again, Expedia's CEO, said that while online travel aggregators might not fly planes or wash sheets like a hotel, surfacing these types of options in digital channels is one of the biggest roles that they can play in sustainability. Brands can also reduce over-tourism of popular destinations. We know that over-tourism can have really deleterious impacts to communities and environments by suggesting nearby, lesser frequented areas. And this also helps to create a net new tourism value chain in that adjacent community. And if you recall those results that I shared a moment ago on what options travelers really wanted to see about sustainable travel, about 40% of them say that they're interested in receiving recommendations for destinations that are not overvisited. These can be personalized using Movable based on destinations that the customer has searched or browsed, or it even could be presented further up the funnel in the travel inspiration phase for travelers that maybe haven't been looking at a specific destination yet. And this idea of sort of diluting overcrowded destinations and shifting that traffic to neighboring areas has been gaining huge visibility. If any of you all saw, New York Times recently did some lengthy coverage on the overcrowding in Venice and other European cities and the drive to adjacent destinations. Promotion of off-peak deals can also really help in reducing overcrowding during peak periods. It also supports the local economy during slow seasons, and this can also be more appealing to price-sensitive travelers. Booking.com led some research over the past 2 years that found that 7 in 10 travelers would choose destinations specifically to avoid peak season. So there's definitely rising consumer interest in off-peak travel. And letting travelers know that in doing this, they're also helping to support a destination in a larger, more sustainable way might further interest them. The number one most in-demand type of content when it comes to sustainable travel that travelers want to see are recommendations for locally owned small businesses in their destination. Brands can make geo-targeted recommendations for restaurants, shops, transportation, and experiences that are locally owned. And many search and review sites like Google or Yelp have public-facing APIs that allow filtering for small businesses and even more specifically for things like women, Black, Latino, and veteran-owned businesses. And this is something that could be carried into email or mobile via Movable using those public-facing APIs. And then lastly, it's essential that marketing really reinforces that sustainable and ESG-focused options doesn't mean a trade-off in quality. When customers were asked which areas they would be willing to sacrifice in to be a more sustainable traveler, still unfortunately about half are unwilling to make trade-offs to things like convenience, comfort, time. So pairing sustainable and ESG-focused recommendations with things like live user reviews, social media proof, and really highlighting the specific benefits of that option through those options through personalization is really important. So I'll leave you with 3 key takeaways. First up, as we said, customer loyalty is so much up for grabs, and brands that can clearly illustrate the value of their loyalty program are going to see higher retention and deeper, longer customer relationships. Customers' interest in and their likelihood to purchase sustainable and ESG-focused travel options is quickly on the rise. Consumers are looking to brands for help in becoming more sustainable travelers. And then lastly, as consumer sentiment shifts and Gen Z become the primary travelers in the next 3 years, these two things, sustainability and customer loyalty, are going to be intertwined and go completely hand in hand. So with that, thanks so much for spending time with me today, and have a fantastic rest of Think Summit.